morning, friends.
Good morning.
It's great to see all of you, and for those of you who might be visiting us this weekend, my name is Father Chris Stanish. I'm the Vicar General for the diocese, and along with Father Jim Wozniak, the pastor here, we just want to offer you a very warm welcome and let you know what a great joy it is to have you with us today. Now, as I was praying with the scriptures for this weekend, I was reminded of a story that I had heard several years ago about this single mother who was struggling to raise an increasingly rebellious daughter. Right, and their relationship had its ups and downs, and it all came to a head late one night when she received a call from the police that apparently her daughter had been arrested for drunk driving, and the police wanted her to come and pick her daughter up. So she goes to the police station, and she picks up her daughter, they get into the car, and not one word is spoken between them the entire car ride home. In fact, the next day, still not a single word passes between them. Then finally, the day after that, the mother finally broke the tension by giving her daughter a small gift-wrapped gift. So the girl opened it with this air of indifference and found inside a small rock. And so she looked at her mom and said, "Well, that's cute. What is it?" And her mom just said, "Read the card, honey." As the girl did so, tears began to come down her cheeks. And she gave her mom a huge hug as the card fell to the floor. On the card, her mom had written, "This rock is more than 200 million years old. That's how long it'll take before I give up on you." You know, my friends, the Lord doesn't ask us to be perfect, right? The Lord doesn't even ask us to be successful. No, he asks us to be faithful. Right? And there are times when we mess up because we've completely gone astray, but there can also be times where everything is going all right. You know, things are going smoothly, but we still find ourselves to be lost. You know, perhaps that's where you are right now. Perhaps you're sitting here in this church and things seem to be going smoothly, but you still feel like something's missing, that you're lost. This is where our gospel comes in, because, my friends, we have a God who will never give up on us. Right? This parable oftentimes is called the parable of the prodigal son. But many theologians actually call it the parable of the lost son, because it's right in between two other parables, right? The parable of the lost sheep and the parable of the lost coin. But when we look at this, you know, it's easy to view ourselves as the lost son, right? That lost sheep who turns away from the father, right? We know all about loss. We know about the mistakes we've made. We know about paths that are chosen that lead to ruin and to destruction. We know the pain that we carry, right? We know what it is to wake up one day and realize that we've wandered so far from who we want to be or how we wanted our life to look like, and sometimes we're not sure how to get back. But I think in many regards, it's also easy for us to see ourselves as the father figure, right? Especially those of you who are parents, right? To know the heartache of what it is to raise a child, you know, to want to protect them and make sure everything is going to be okay. Perhaps you know his agony. Perhaps you know his yearning for his wayward son, or the replaying of every conversation that you've had saying, "Did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong?" Right? We can place ourselves in these characters. But the older brother in this story often gets put on the sidelines. I want you to think about this older brother for a moment, because when we look at him, if you're anything like me, you think that he has a right to be angry. Right? He's the one who has stayed at home every day. He's the one who did all the chores. He did everything that was asked of him. And every night, he would have to watch his dad's heart break again and again and again as he waited for a son who was not coming home. Right? He'd probably come in every day from work tired and sore, hoping that he'd get noticed more, or hoping for a compliment, or whatever it might be. You know, because it's so easy to see the older son's point of view, it can be difficult to see that he's just as lost as the other brother. Notice the way that he says things, right? He says, "All these years I served you," right? He doesn't say, all these years I have loved you. All these years I've been able to live in this house. All these years I'm honored to be your son. No, basically he says, all these years I have been your slave. The other son, he also says that not once did he disobey his father's orders. Right? It's such a weird thing to say. Right? He reduces his relationship to his father to orders. Right? He has no idea that his father doesn't want his obedience or his service. He has no idea that all his father wants is his love. Right? He just wanted him to be in a relationship with him. And the older son has been counting the cost. Right? He's been trapped in this world of merit and competition, and he's been counting the cost, keeping a record, right, about what he's got and what he has not. This older son is so consumed, his heart is so hardened by this, that he can't even use the word brother when he comes home. No, he looks at his dad, he says, when this son of yours, right? That's disassociative language, right? He's distancing himself from his brother. That's how lost he's become. My friends, wherever you are in life right now, our Heavenly Father yearns to be in relationship with you, right? He doesn't just want your obedience. He doesn't just want your service. No, he wants you to be in relationship with him. Right? And the same Father who shows this love to his two sons in this parable shows his love to you and me. Right? And in fact, it's nothing in comparison because that's a parable. Our Heavenly Father has a love for us that is overwhelming, that is reckless, right? And he's offering us that same gentle invitation to come to the feast, right? To live in this relationship. And he wants us to know that everything that he has, including his love, has always been ours. And yet we struggle with it. We think it's too good to be true. We think this is impossible. How could God love me that much? He knows what I've done. He knows where I am, or he knows what I'm struggling with. But we have a God who is head over heels in love with us. Now, as for that mother and daughter, I don't technically know how the story ended. But what I do know is that moment with the rock began a tremendous amount of healing in their relationship. Right? And when we think about this, at the end of the day, the love that mother had for her daughter is nothing compared to what our Heavenly Father has in mind for us. But it's so hard to believe. We doubt it day in and day out. But my friends, we have a Father in heaven who is good. And he desires to give good gifts to his children, right? He invites us into his family with this undying love. He doesn't want you and I just to go through the actions. He doesn't want us to just get through life. No, he wants us to be in a real relationship with him. And that's where in our prayer, we have to have real conversations. What makes you happy? What makes you joyful? What do you want your life to look like? What are you struggling with? What's going on in your life? Right? Sharing the things of your heart with your Heavenly Father. Right? And that's where he can really bring your life to come about, right? Where things can begin to thrive and to flourish. So the spiritual challenge that I want to pose to you this week is to really think about how God is not waiting to love you. So why are you waiting to let him?